Man, what do you know? What do you know? Tell y'all what I know. It's been a short but long week, if that makes any sense at all. So, first off, there's been a lot going on in the Schneider community. If y'all don't already know, I'm not really going to speak on it too much, but man, it made me pump the brakes a little bit and kind of step back and try to decide what direction I want to go with this channel. So we'll kind of figure that as, you know, kind of play it by ear and figure it out as we go, I guess. But I got a load, or a week recap. I went home for 4 days, came out on Wednesday, so I was home Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I came back out on Wednesday. And first load out the gate wasn't great, but I kind of tell you how that all played out though. So first off, my last place I unloaded was Fort Worth, Texas, and that was Friday about noonish, I guess it was. And I had no load to get me home. So long story short, and I'll kind of give you the long story also, but I had a deadhead 198 miles to the house. So on Wednesday before that, I had booked that load going to Fort Worth. Now, I didn't really, I think I glanced at the load board a little bit trying to find something from Fort Worth to Oklahoma City, but there wasn't anything that matched my schedule as to when I needed to be able to pick up and deliver it. I even looked at delivering on Monday, because even though I was going home, I wasn't necessarily against getting up and going and delivering a load and then coming back home. So I was even looking at that option. Thursday rolled around, still wasn't seeing no loads. Now Thursday evening, all of a sudden load board doesn't work no more. Won't load. The system ain't working. So Schneider had sent out a message saying that their systems was down. So no big deal, I thought, well, you know, they'll have it back up and running by morning. So I figured Friday morning I get up before I get on the road and I'll look at the load board and see if I can find something. Still ain't working. So I thought, all right, no big deal. I'll start making my way over to Fort Worth, and I'll stop about halfway and jump on there again. Surely they'll have it back up and running. I mean, it's Friday, you know, like people are looking for weekend loads and stuff. Like, I can't imagine how hard it was to stay rolling this weekend if you didn't already have pre-plans, or this last weekend, not this weekend, not the one we just came through, but the one before. Anyway, so I ran like halfway, load board still not working. Call, you know, I'd already put in a call to my BOA, had already kind of given her some parameters as to what I was looking for to get me home. They basically told me that if they could find something, they would send me a message. So I was like, all right. So I go on down to Fort Worth, deliver my load, and still no message, still no load board. So now I'm at a point where it's like, all right, well, what do I do? Well, the only option I had was deadhead to the house, because apparently load board's not working. They don't know when it was going to be back up and running, you know. So I deadheaded 198 miles to the house with no load. So since I don't ever put deadhead miles on the back end of a load, I'm putting them on the front end of the first load for this week. So first load for this week was Wednesday. I had 198 miles from Fort Worth to the house, and then I had 36 miles from my house to the north side of Oklahoma City to pick up a load. Now, as a dropping hook, I'll just tell you right now, most everything I did this week was dropping hook. If I don't mention it, then basically it was a dropping hook. I did quite a bit this week, so when I get to the live loads, I'll just let you know. Everything else was a dropping hook. So anyway, 36 miles to the north side of the city to pick up a load that went 344 miles to Belton, Missouri, which is south of Kansas City. So 578 total miles if you figure my deadhead from Fort Worth to the house. So that load paid $724.20. That's a rate per mile of $1.25. Now that's not great at all. But you kind of got to deal with what you get sometimes. So can't always focus on that one load. You kind of, you look at the entire week as a whole. So anyway, load weighed 28,712 pounds. 28,712 pounds, paid $724.20. So now I delivered that Wednesday evening, and then from there I went from Belton, Missouri. Now this is where, so let me throw this in here right fast. So where I delivered at was a dropping hook, but they didn't have no empties. It was a new facility, no empty trailers. They didn't have hardly any trailers. So I bobtailed from Belton, Missouri to Topeka, Kansas. Now my original plan was to post up before I got to Topeka, grab my load in the morning that went to Joliet, Illinois. But the problem was all that snow was pushing in that night, and I didn't want to be bobtail in the morning with no trailer behind me. So I went ahead and went the 80 miles over to Topeka, picked up my loaded trailer, and then I posted up on the outside of Topeka, Kansas while the snow came through that night. Got up Thursday morning and got to drive in the snow. So I've been really good at dodging it this winter season, but you can't dodge it all the time. Sometimes you just kind of gotta make the best choice possible, and you just kind of gotta pull your bootstraps up and get off in it, I guess. So so that load went 530 miles to Joliet, Illinois, dropping hook both ends. At 610 miles, load paid $1,247.78. That's $2.04 a mile. That load weighed 19,500 pounds. Now from Joliet, I deadheaded 8 miles to Channahon, Illinois, however y'all pronounce that. In Channahon, it was a live load. So Channahon, Illinois, I went 273 miles to Findlay, Ohio. So that's 281 total miles, paid $971.72. That is $3.45 a mile. Now, and that load weighed 19,970 pounds. Now the next load, when I booked it, it showed like 0.3 miles of deadhead. So I knew this place was either like next door, across the street, or something. So 1 mile of deadhead, basically I crossed the street. Wasn't even a full mile. But the next load was picking up. So Findlay to Findlay it was supposed to be a dropping hook. I got over there, the load was not ready. They informed me that they did not have empty trailers to load it, and so it wasn't ready to go. So I gave them the option to live load me. I told them, I said, if it doesn't take more than a couple hours, I've got time. If you want to live load it, we can live load it. So she informed me that since there was no trailer to load it in, they didn't even stage the load. So it would take the better part of the day before I could get loaded. I told her that doesn't work for me. So I scratched that load. That load was going less than 100 miles. It was paying north of $3 a mile, and it was taking me in the direction to get another load. So at this point, I had the option to scrap my whole, basically hit the reset button and scrap everything. But I didn't want to do that. I had some pretty decent pre-plans that got me in the direction that I wanted to go. So I just scrapped that one load, and then I deadheaded from that point to the next load. So scrapped that load, and then I deadheaded 220 miles to Cynthiana, Kentucky from Findlay, Ohio. Cynthiana, Kentucky was a dropping hook, and from there I went 406 miles to DeKalb, Illinois. So with the additional deadhead on that one, that's 626 miles. It paid $1,026.31. That's $1.63 a mile. Now, had I not had to do the additional deadheading, that load was paying over $2 a mile, and the load before that was paying over $3 a mile. But since I went ahead and deadheaded, that put it at $1.63 a mile. So, and that load weighed 40,503 pounds. So, that was a dropping hook on both ends. Now, from DeKalb, Illinois, I went to Spring Valley, Illinois. Now, this was kind of interesting. So, before I got to DeKalb, I had received a message on my tablet. And with Schneider, you can't read your messages while you're driving, so no big deal. I thought, I think I was about an hour out or something like that. I figured I'd wait till I got there and I'd read the message. Well, a little later on, I noticed that I had 2 messages. So by this time, I'm fixing to pull into my receiver, and I check in, I come back to the truck, and the first message was a high wind warning. And it was basically Schneider saying that there's 50 mile an hour plus gust, wind gust. If you don't have at least 40,000 pounds, they advise that you park. Which was no big deal. Like they do that occasionally. They'll send us little weather advisories. So it was a wind advisory, and they were advising if you don't have at least 40,000 pounds, they advise that you park. Now, they're not telling you have to, but they're advising that you do. So I was already dreading, because I was already fighting the wind coming in. I had 64 miles from DeKalb to Spring Valley, so I was already dreading the idea of dragging an empty trailer across that part of, and that part of the country's all open fields and stuff. Like, it's all farmland and stuff. So I was already dreading this. Now, the second message was a update to my workflow, or my task flow, and it was basically stating for me to drop my loaded trailer in DeKalb, Illinois, and bobtail to Spring Valley, Illinois. So I don't know if they didn't want me dragging it empty because of the high wind, so that's, so they changed my workflow. If they did, I was very appreciative, because even though it was still a pain in the butt to drive through that wind with just the tractor, it wasn't near as bad as having an empty trailer behind me. So I got to bobtail 64 miles over to Spring Valley, Illinois. Now, from Spring Valley, Illinois, I ran 257 miles. Oh, that was I was gonna say. So I got over there, in that shipper, they was asking me where my empty trailer was, and I just basically told them that Schneider told me to bobtail in, that I didn't need an empty. Then I got around to the shipping office, and they questioned me they asked me where I parked my empty at, and I told them I said I didn't have an empty. And they kind of got frustrated, because they said they were low on empties. But and I told the guy then that my speculation was that they didn't want me dragging an empty in a high wind warning. So like I said, I don't know if they did that on purpose. If they did, that was really cool of them. But anyway, so Spring Valley to Fishers, Indiana, 257 loaded miles. Fishers, Indiana was a live unload. That's the only time that I live unloaded, and then the one time before I live loaded all week long. So 321 total miles. Load paid $832.89, which was $2.59 a mile. So that load weighed 25,920 pounds. Now, like I said, I came out on Wednesday, so I missed the first 2 days of the week. I ran 5 days. I ran 5 loads. I had 6 loads booked. And I had enough time to knock out the 6 loads. So even though it was a short week, I did a load every day, and it really felt like a really long week because of it. Now, the revenue wasn't too bad, so let's get to the total revenue. So total miles, 2,416 miles. Now, my mile per gallon was 7.5 miles to the gallon. Once again, you know, winter blends, high winds most of the week, driving in the snow, and then also, you know, trucks idling at night because it's cold. So 7.5 miles to the gallon, not terrible. Total revenue for the week, $4,802.90. So that's $1.98 a mile. That's also about $960 a day. So not a bad week. Not a good week, but not a bad week by any means. So total weight for the load, the total load weight for the week was 26,921 pounds. So all the loads this week was right around the 20 to 25,000. So I had the one load that was 40,000. But like I said, not a terrible week. It did turn out a little bit better than I thought, for a short week anyway. Did almost 5,000, did almost $1,000 a day, so can't be mad about that by any means. So yeah, that's how it ended up. That's how our interesting week ended up. So had Schneider system go down, dealt with that, which, I mean, that was about a week and a half ago at this point now, but it did make things a little interesting for the beginning of this work week. And then you know, we had some stuff going on inside the Schneider community. Like I said, I'm not going to speak much on that. I will just say, actually I'll say 2 things on it. You know, I come from a management background, so I kind of understand Schneider's stand on the whole deal. I can't say that I'm mad. Like, I fully understand their stand on it. I understand where they're coming from and why they did what they did. You know, I've been in that position before. You start getting lenient on policies, and you know, people have a tendency to kind of stretch them out a little bit, you know. So like I said, I kind of had to pump the brakes a little bit, kind of step back, and I guess you could say kind of reposition and decide how I wanted to go forward. I haven't quite decided what all I want to do yet, but like I've said before, I feel like the numbers are you know, an important thing. Some people may not think so, but I feel like if you're new coming into this, looking at being a lease operator, it's kind of nice to be able to find you know, some weekly revenue numbers. You can sit around and crunch the expenses all week long, but if you don't know what the potential revenue is, it's kind of hard to make a decision on whether or not you think that you can be successful or whether or not you think you can make money out here. So I will continue to do that. Like I said, that won't change. But with the things that are going on, I may have to kind of step back a little bit and reevaluate how I want this channel to end up. And I know I've probably said that a few times. I am trying to get like into my groove, I guess you could say. But been playing with the editing a little bit, getting a little better, learning my camera a little bit more. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm rambling now. So if y'all are still here, y'all are awesome. Hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Stay safe, stay warm, and till next time.